And welcome back to the Awfully Irish podcast.
How are we getting on, lads?
Very well, very well. How are you?
Not too bad.
So today we've Brian from the Cork Rooftop Farm. Brian, how did you even start with that thing?
I suppose it started back at the end of March, when the lockdown kicked in Ireland. So I have a wholesale flower business, and literally we just wrapped up Mother's Day, which was probably like 50% of what we do on a normal Mother's Day due to the COVID lockdown. And every shop, all our customers were closing, so we decided we were closing because it made no sense to stay open from a safety standpoint and from the financial standpoint. So we temporarily closed the company, temporarily laid off all our employees, and then I was kind of left with a fairly large void of time, which I would normally use for work, which I'd work 70, 80 hours a week. So to go from that to zero wasn't really going to be an option. We would have gone completely mad. So I was kind of looking at things and ways I could fill my time, and like lots of people in Ireland, I kind of looked at the garden as maybe a place to turn to. So where I live in Lavitt's Quay in the centre of Cork City, and I have a little courtyard around the back of my apartment, about 30-35 square metres, which would be perfect size for one person to grow enough veg and fruit for themselves to kind of have a happy amount of fresh food. But also adjacent to that is another building which used to be the premises of Central Floral Supplies up until 2006 and is owned by my father. There's a 6,800 square foot roof, which I had full access to, and was easier for access for getting things up to do gardening and all the rest of it. And we were using it anyway as an access point for another construction project I'm involved with. So myself and Ty decided we would put our garden up there. And so what we started off doing then is researching good ways to garden or grow on top of a roof, because it's not the norm. We've no soil, we've no normal things that you'd have in your back garden. Access to water, we had access to power, and that was about it. So we did a good bit of research and we saw what other people were doing, and we decided we would build a bunch of raised beds up on top of the roof out of scrap wood and pallets and some purchased wood. So we set about doing that. Then in the last week of March, early April, we bought ourselves a polytunnel. We bought a lash of seed from Brown Envelope Seed down West Cork, and that kind of got us running. And at the same time I started an Instagram page for the project, just to chart it really, and I thought it might be an interesting thing for people to follow and see what we do in our circumstance, and if people find it of interest, then they can follow it along. And lo and behold, they did.
At a very fast rate, like you've been getting followers like crazy. I remember
Yeah.
I was one of the early ones, and I was checking there the other day. The first time we were supposed to have you on because we got delayed, you had only like 5,000 something. Now you've 6,200.
Yeah.
You're growing fairly fast.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty steady in terms of the follower increase on the page. So often that we might have a follower or share from a conference where that put on a good bit. So So it's been very steady, and you know, brilliant. It's a great resource for us to get feedback from people, and uh, being able to was take temperature of where we're at and how people think we're going, you know. And you know, even practical things like asking simple questions up. Like there's 1,000 odd people up there who know. You know, there's a good proportion of them are very knowledgeable horticulturists and growers and people in the industry, and they're helping us out as much as we're trying to help out people in our situation who maybe are urban growers who would not have considered growing up until now, you know.
Yeah.
But, and yeah, it's. I think when we got going, so like in early April, and we kept going, and there's like I was going through a lot of stuff personally as well outside at the time. I suppose my mother was very sick. She was dying from cancer, so it was a good way to try and distract my mind as well with something productive. And so yeah, it was a case of get up. You know, I think a big thing for people during the lockdown was having something to get up and go out and do, or a bit of a structure to your day. So it was great to have that.
Yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense.
So it was really it was very useful in that sense for myself also. And I would say we got an article from Yay Cork about the middle of April, and that really propelled it on in terms of visibility and followership. I think a week I got 1,000 followers, which was huge, and that really kind of made it very public then. And then Dermot Gavin started getting in touch on his Instagram live show. That kind of gave it another boost, and was by early May we had finished doing the raised beds, and all our seedlings were coming along. So we were starting to actually produce vegetables and herbs and fruit. So it was cool to see that. And then in the middle of May, my mother died, and that was tough enough going. And was that put everything into focus a bit. So at that point, I kind of assessed everything. I suppose the flower business had reopened to a point at that stage. So the garden centres and that were allowed to reopen middle of May, which we would supply a lot of garden centres, so we were able to fold into that phase as well. So the flower business reopening, but I suppose at the time as well, I was just thinking, you know, I'm really enjoying this. I don't want to let this kind of fizzle out or anything. I want to drive it on, because I did enjoy it so much, and other people were enjoying it. Also, I felt there was a kind of a strong potential to it. So we kind of doubled down in terms of plans, and then formed a business. Began drawing up a business plan for the farm. So it's a very small space in terms of farms. 6,800 square feet is absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Traditionally, there's no way you could make a living out of that size of a space using common cultural practices. So I had to kind of figure out how I would make it a viable business. So we were able to do that. We made a plan, and we've been executing on that since, and it's on track. It's going well. There's always a few bumps or hurdles that you have to kind of jump through, but we're kind of tagging them off as we go. And it's again, like, it's just, the whole process is incredibly fun. So we, every step of the way, we're just really enjoying it and learning more. And the more people that are following, the more it kind of gathers momentum on that side. So it's very exciting, I suppose.
Yeah. It's it's something I like to watch when I'm on Instagram, checking out what you guys are doing. Because I don't know anyone else who does a rooftop farm. Do you know anyone else that does that, or is that like unique to you guys?
No, it's there are rooftop farms all over the world. So in New York, there's quite a number of rooftop farms. Chicago, London, Paris has the biggest rooftop farm in Europe. It's 10,000 square meters. It's enormous, and they have plans to make it even larger. There's one in Copenhagen. There was actually one in Dublin as well, believe it or not, back in the early, kind of started by a man called Andrew Douglas. In 2012, I think he started it.
Yeah, I heard of it. I was telling my mom about what you guys were doing. I was like, yeah, I just guessed he's a farmer, but I'm like on a rooftop in Cork. He's like, oh, I've heard of that lad. He's not from Dublin. Like, no. I found out about the other guy.
And Andrew was very helpful and has been through the whole way as well. I've spoken to him a good few times, and he's a fountain of knowledge, So he's been there, done it, but he unfortunately had to kind of scale back that operation due to just so much red tape. I think he ran into obstacles trying to get it up to code for a fire search. It just became excessively expensive to do so and wasn't viable.
And if there's a bit of a storm, it looks like it would all go flying off.
Yeah, no, it needs to be pretty robust, whatever you're going to do up there, and
like, you don't want the lawsuit of like your cucumbers went and hit someone's car during a storm.
Be an interesting claim form to be filling out, right? No, there's no. I mean, even for us, that's been a process as well. So in terms of getting insurance, and we have a huge number of people who want to come visit the rooftop. I get on average 20 to 25 emails a day from people, can I come visit? So
you normally end in a yes or no?
I'd say unfortunately it's a hard no at the moment, because I'm not insured to take public up there. It's public liability. It's an important thing, and it's a rooftop space. It's not like it's a garden on a in a green field. So there's sudden drops on all four sides. So I have to be quite mindful of not putting myself or anyone else in jeopardy.
That's smart of you.
Yeah. So we're going through the process. It takes time, because like anything where it's probably a unique structure, it's hard to, you're kind of rewriting rules, I suppose, or interpreting rules to fit your circumstances. And, there's no blueprint for what we're trying to do. It's been done in other countries, but there's different rules, and so you can't necessarily copy what they've done exactly. So in Ireland, it's a case of a lot of back and forth dialogue with the relevant departments, the city council, the fire department, insurance companies, etc., engineers. So there's a lot to it,
Thomas, your mic.
No, sorry. All right, my bad. Better?
Yep.
So
sorry about that.
Grant, not about it. So I mean, we've had to have a full structural engineer's report done on the roof. I've since May I've had the fire engineer in consultation with the fire department refining plans and figuring out where we can put exits and how people will get off. And
Thomas?
Yeah. My bad. Sorry, lads. Let me just...
That's a bit loud.
Was it? Oh, sorry.
Your heart.
Jesus.
Yeah, you guys, what you're doing is crazy. Like you gotta admit, it's a bit crazy, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so amazing. It's so unique, and you gotta love it.
Yeah, no, I do love it. I'm very proud of it, you know, because it's we've been putting a lot of work into it, and it's cool to see the incremental improvements all the way along. And we have very big ambitions for it. So yeah, I think what people will see now over the next 12 months will be quite exciting. You know, there's a lot. We have Dermot Gavin is actually going to design a garden for the roof. We have the roof, which is on the fire cert application, which will have a dining zone.
Oh.
And that will also incorporate kind of a garden, as well as we'll have the farming area. And that'll be accessed from the main street, Cork Market Street, which will also go through a retail area. So there'll be a lot of really cool things happening there. And yeah, so it's going to look pretty crazy. I think in about 6 months it'll be pretty cool.
We're looking forward to it. We're going to keep an eye out on it.
Yeah.
Another crazy thing with you guys is you have livestock up there.
Yeah,
I love to say that to people and they're thinking cows, but no, you guys have chickens.
And I've another bit of an idea that has formed in the last 2 weeks, and we're refining it. So the chickens are fine. They're kind of a homestead situation. We have 6 chickens on the roof, and they're laying chickens, and they started laying 2 weeks ago. So they're young birds. So they generally take up to 16 weeks plus to start laying, and they have. So we have a nice steady stream every day of eggs, which is great. But we're also looking at having potentially a pigeon squab farming up on the roof.
A what?
So a baby pigeon is called a squab. So we're thinking of doing a pigeon farm up there. And it would have been a very common practice in the UK on rooftops, and the meat is delicious and is often very difficult to access. Usually it would only be wild pigeon that might be available. It's very hard to come by good quality farm pigeon, so we're looking at doing that. So that would be
what brought you to that decision? That's like I thought you were about to say you're going to do quails, but no, pigeons.
Yeah, no, pigeons. Well, they don't require a huge amount of inputs, so they're quite low maintenance. They don't need huge space because they go out and fly around the open air and come back to their home every day. So we're not limited to the footprint of our roof in order to raise them. And they forage a lot of their own food, so it's quite a cost-effective means of raising animals. And we already have a huge wild city, your kind of common city pigeon. There's hundreds of them around the place, but this is a very different thing altogether. But the environment is perfect for them. So all we need to do is make them a happy home, and we need to source.
Sounds a bit dodgy, but I wouldn't mind trying one of those.
Are you gonna teach them how to send messages so your enemies don't know your
Yeah.
secrets?
Yeah.
Other rooftop farmers based in Cork, they're never gonna know your secrets because you got your carrying pigeons, you know.
It'll be not quite ravens in Game of Thrones, but it'll be yeah. No, I think we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, pretty cool, right? Though it's pretty cool. So yeah, that's something now that will literally has only kind of formed in the last couple of weeks. But there's some really cool structures that have been built to do those things. So I think it'll be another interesting addition to the rooftop footprint, and to have like an almost commercial level production of meat in a space as well, of protein, which is that's
Do
what
you
farming is
do
about.
you sell your chickens or do you eat them or what?
Oh,
No.
they're new
Oh,
chickens.
they're new.
They're layers, so we only eat their eggs. We only eat them, so we'll keep them for as long as they're laying us healthy eggs.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.
Would they be handy for scraps? Like you'd be giving scraps to them and they'd be shot
Yeah.
away.
We've in the chicken coop itself, we've built it in such a way that obviously they're self-contained and they're safe, but also we've given them an awful lot of extra room. So the standard for organic is 2 meters squared, 2 meters squared per chicken, and they have 3 meters squared each, so they've plenty of space. So they live a happy life, but also we've given them a 12-inch deep bed of fine mulch, and we put in the scraps and stuff from the garden in there, and then they're picking and pecking and kicking and burrowing into the bed and turning
Almost
it.
just throw to that a little bit to see the chickens.
Yeah.
Well, we feed them a kind of a protein food. Like they need protein to be healthy layers. So we have a feed for them. It's a layer feed, and then they'd also have like a grit. It's really important for chickens to have grit in their stomach to also to be able to produce healthy eggs. So we give them all these things, but they're also creating compost for us inside in the coop through the constant breaking down of everything and adding their own output to the bedding, and we keep that turned over and we keep that clean. So
nothing's wasted.
Nothing's wasted, and we have restaurants giving us their scraps and their bits and pieces to feed the chickens as well. So that's something that would have been otherwise being thrown in the scrap heap. So that's being used to regenerate soil, which is positive, because we do not have means to regenerate soil because we don't have a soil base, we have to take it from around us and convert that then, so that's a really important thing for us.
Remember doing ag science and they never told us anything about growing stuff on roofs, so that'd be a funny one to talk about to a teacher.
Yeah, no, it'll be maybe someday I'll write a book about it.
Actually, I think that would be a pretty cool book.
That would be very cool, actually. Yeah,
I'd buy that book. I'd buy it twice if I could. What was I going to say? At the moment, you guys only sell the radishes that you grow at the moment.
Well,
what's coming next?
So what's actually happened is we're supplying restaurants, and my initial thoughts were we were going to put it all up online, but it's just not viable because we have when things become available, we just tell our restaurant customers and they take it. So we actually have quite a lot of produce available right now. I mean, we'd have squash, we'd have lettuce, we have 4 different types of lettuce. Potatoes are nearly ready. We'd have peas. We had harvested all our baby carrots now. Parsnips are about a week away. In terms of herbs, we've got basil, curly parsley, flat leaf parsley, You've got chives, you've got leeks growing, you've got sugar snap peas, you've got dill, you've got, I literally could go on. There's about, I made a list the other day, it is about 40 different products that we have harvested at the moment.
Good.
Yeah, and we're both enjoying them ourselves with our own food, and we're supplying them to people, which is really good because they're giving us feedback on it, and we're kind of refining ideas on what we do in the future as well. You know,
That
so,
feeling when you've grown your own food and you get to make a meal out of it, it's so nice. You must,
oh,
must get that a lot. I seen you had a picture up there. You guys had this like salad date kind of thing. It looked lovely.
no, it was. It's perfect because you just literally go over to the raised bed and pull it out, put it under a tap, and eat it.
Fresh as can be.
Fresh as can be, and it's nutritionally, it's just better for you. You know, there's nothing. It's as healthy as you can get. We've grown everything with organic methodology. There's no pesticides or any of that kind of rubbish going into the beds. So it's really as healthy as can be, and you know that has an impact on your own health. You know? So
Yeah.
it's a win-win. You know, in terms of your not only your physical and your body health, but your mental health. I think it's a great thing to, you know, holistically, it does. They all feed it.
Do you take or like, do you have volunteers or do people work for the rooftop farm?
So we have about, my father comes up, he helps out, and then I'd have maybe 2 or 3 friends that know and trust. They come up, but we have a list of hundreds of volunteers who've signed up.
Whoa, hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds, literally hundreds.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's going to be something we're going to have to manage and kind of work out the best way to approach, because we're very eager to make the farm accessible to people, but also it is a business, so it needs to be done in a way that both adds value to the people coming up and volunteering and add, you know, a nice experience to them, but also it needs to be done in a way that doesn't screw up our production, because there is only 2 of us working up there, you know, so we have to be very, very efficient before we work going forward. But we can't wait to get people up there. Again, it's kind of an insurance thing and all the rest of it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So, but we can't wait.
Jeez, I can't wait either. It's so cool. Like, it's such a cool thing. I was telling the lads, we've done a podcast now for 74, 75 days. I said to the lads, there's this lad in Cork. He's a farm on a roof. Should we get him on? And they were like, of course. And like, I know Dara's not here at the moment, but Dara couldn't believe it. It was just something crazy. And I love telling people, oh yeah, he has livestock. That's such a funny reaction.
Yeah, I might rephrase it myself to that. Yeah,
You know,
and we're getting bees as well. Hopefully, when I get back, I'll have them up on the roof.
Oh wow. Oh, that's awesome.
Big concern. Like, if there is like a big storm, like you had something like the Beast from the East kind of, if something like that happened, have you guys thought about that, or do you know what you're gonna do?
I was living next to that place for Storm Orphelia, for the Beast from the East. So, like the greenhouse we've put down is, we literally couldn't have made it any stronger into the ground. So it's very well bolted down. There's tons and tons of topsoil holding everything down.
Yeah.
We've kind of designed things in such a way that we're trying not to catch the wind. We're trying to work with the wind.
That's smart.
To deflect. We also have plans to create wind breaks around the perimeter. So we'll put in some shallow rooting, high growing plants. Might disrupt the view a small bit, but it'll be necessary in terms of
Safety.
and that will help.
So you cut off there? Could you say that again?
I said that'll help definitely safety aspect in terms of having a wind break around the roof
Yeah.
perimeter.
'Cause I've worked in horticulture before, and when that thing came around, the 4 places around me demolished. They're destroyed.
Yeah, no,
It's a
they're not.
shame.
They're not forgiving. We'll have to probably have. I suppose one big thing about what we're doing, the only really, like we've put in a few pretty decent structures up there now. Obviously, the greenhouse, we put in a lean polytunnel as well, and the chicken coop. They'd be the main things I'd be fearful of. Everything else is movable, so there'd probably be a bit of battening down the hatches, I imagine, before any of those
Yeah.
large weather events, and they will happen. I mean, there's always a few of them
They're
rolling
rare
in.
enough, but they do happen. That's a shame.
Yeah, so we'll have to be there'll have to be a plan there in place. So we'll have to, yeah, and you know what? Like all these things, you make a plan, and then Mother Nature doesn't really care. So
Yeah.
um,
That's the virus itself, like.
yeah, it's like, yeah. I mean, gee, when I was there for Ophelia, it was crazy. It was bloody crazy. So, but I suppose that's they're freak events. I just really hope that we don't have to experience too many more of those, Joe.
Sorry, can you hear
Can you hear?
that humming?
I can hear like.
No,
I can
you
hear a little bit of humming, yeah.
Alright, because I'm at a friend's right now, and his PlayStation, he just left it on, but he left the room. And it's so hot, and it looks like it's about to explode, like. I can't find the name of these things. You had try to get a picture of
Grow towers.
grow towers. That's the exact thing, yeah.
So we've 60 of those coming. It'll probably
That's
be,
a smart move because you don't have much space. So if you're going vertically, that's brilliant.
yeah, and it's growing using a technique called aeroponics. So none of the plants are actually in soil. The roots are exposed directly to oxygen and the water that trickles down from the top, which is pumped up, and there's a biofertilizer in that that feeds the plant, and that allows the plants to grow 30 to 50% faster when in optimal conditions, and it also means we can fit twice the density. So we're growing 50% faster, and we're also twice as dense. So you're nearly doubling up on what you can do compared to a soil-based growing. As well, you've less pest problems, and also you use about 10% of the water needs that you would have to do traditionally in a soil base, because you're recycling the water all the time.
Jeez, that's brilliant.
So it's a kind of a win-win in every situation. They're pretty cool looking structures as well, and yeah, even for harvesting, it's very straightforward. So, well, like we've been testing with 3 of them now for the last few weeks, and yeah, so we're kind of getting there. We've got a bit of a plan formulated. One of the big things I must do when I get back now is make a seeding plan for those and order seed and get ready with transplants, because when they arrive, we really want to be straight away filling them all up with developed plants. So we'll have a busy August getting ready for
Yeah.
them.
And what's the plans for the winter? Do you have certain things you can grow down, or what's the crack there?
Yeah, we'll move. So we have quite a large tomato crop going along at the moment. I'm just doing there. I'm on 6% battery, so this might have to cut off soon enough. And I'm nowhere near a charger. Sorry about this. But the plan is to have 30 of the towers inside in the greenhouse initially, and 30 outside. And then after September, October, when we're finished with the tomatoes, to move them all back into the greenhouse. So we'll probably use a heat source and artificial lighting to keep them growing at a steady pace then throughout the winter.
Yeah.
So we'll still have production, and then we'll grow winter crops in the raised beds outside.
So you've planned for basically everything at this point.
Uh, yeah, well, we've done like when we did the business plan for getting the loan to get the greenhouse and the towers, we had to do a lot of kind of nitty gritty work. So um, having the background in business from the flower wholesale side of things helped a lot in that area. So it wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel too much there. I kind of knew what was needed to be done. So
Yeah.
So it was a good process because it clarified things for me, and it really allowed me then to focus on what I think is the best way forward for the place. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant place.
So yeah, but yeah, we'll be busy now. We'll be busy.
And looks like you've introduced a little flower bed, is it?
Yeah, well, we've got obviously in order to grow anything you need pollination, and in order to have pollination you need bees, and they get attracted to flowers. So that was the thinking there.
Ah,
So we sowed a large section of the rooftop in wildflowers and kind of pollinator-friendly flowers, I suppose, things like lavenders, and they've drawn an awful lot of bees up onto the roof, which has meant that we've had no issues so far with pollination. All the tomatoes are going great, cucumbers, squashes, they're all thriving on. So yeah, it is interesting, and I think once we get the beehives up, then that'll just kick it up another notch altogether.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it'd be funny telling people like, oh yeah, there's bees, there's chickens, there's pigeons, there's blah 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 on a rooftop.
yeah, no, we've got, but they're all possible things. It's not like, none of these things. I mean, one of the best things I found there recently was Powers, the distillers, on their factory. Basically, at the end of World War II, food prices became very, very high because there were shortages in food supply. So the workers of the Powers factory distillery in Dublin asked their bosses could they grow potatoes on the roof of the factory in the centre of Dublin. So I actually found that they posted a photo from like 1948 or something where a whole roof was covered in soil and they're earthing out potatoes. So that farm was technically the first rooftop farm in Ireland.
That's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. So the photo's brilliant as well. It's really clear. It's like, yeah, really badass.
It is. And that's not a word used very much when it comes to gardening or farming.
But I think it's brilliant that whiskey distillers want to feed their families, so they put a farm on the roof and sow potatoes in the
I
late
don't
40s.
think you get away with that today now. If the Guinness employee said, "Can we put a farm on the roof?" I don't think that would happen.
But
You know,
potato farmers, growing crisps, man, that might work.
Growing potatoes on the roof. That would actually probably happen.
Yeah, that would be a good PR exercise for them maybe. But
the number one roof farmer for potato, that's not a bad title.
Yeah. But what was I going to say?
But lads, I'm sorry, no, but I'm at 3%, so I don't want to.
No, we understand.
Right.
Yeah, that's grand.
To finish up, where can people find you and they can follow you?
Yeah, so you can find us corkrooftopfarm.ie or on Instagram at Cork Rooftop Farm, or Facebook and YouTube as well. So, and
Perfect.
you can email us at corkrooftopfarm@gmail.com. So we're easily accessible, and I do try and get back to everybody when they reply or comment or email. It's kind of hard sometimes, volume, but do send me messages. I love to hear from people. It's great to have the interaction.
Of course. Right. Your phone's about to die, so you take it handy. And thanks everyone for listening. Make sure to check out the Cork Rooftop Farm. It's a brilliant thing. It's very unique. And take it handy.
Cheers, guys. Thanks a million.
Look at